On this episode of Purposely Curious, we talk about the interview everyone is talking about, the Meghan and Harry interview. I focus more on the mental health aspects of the institution as I reminisce on the interviews given by both Princess Diana and Fergie decades earlier. So, let's get some tea brewing and join me as I vent about the lack of mental health support and other things I was annoyed by. So, get nice and cozy as this episode starts now. Hello, Leonie.
Greetings, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Enjoying this nice spring cool down that we got going on here. How about yourself?
No, I'm good. I have like my little coat on, my pajamas on. We're recording late at night. Well, I wouldn't say it's late. It's 9:45-ish.
Right.
But it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Yes, I'm excited.
Starting overnight. So I love the rain. Are you big on rain?
I love it. I actually go walking in the rain or hiking. And sometimes when it's like, not because I'm crazy or whatever, but I mean like sometimes when it's just that beautiful, I don't mean when it's freezing cold, when it's just beautiful, like I don't even bother with an umbrella. I'm like, I'm going to come back wet, and there's just something about the rain. It just feels like you're in touch with nature. Like it's a calming feeling to me,
Yeah. It's and when it rains, everything looks so clear afterwards. And
right.
So, I drive for work, so it's like if I'm getting on the freeway, everything just looks beautiful, and depending on the neighborhood that I'm visiting,
right.
It just, to me, I love literally love how beautiful everything looks, and the air almost smells better after a good rain.
It does, right?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so what's new? Anything you want to report?
What's new? Well, I've just been busy with projects and stuff, got my first vaccine, so I'm excited about that.
Yay, welcome to the club.
Yes. So looking forward to the second one, and then hoping the rest of the world gets theirs too, and we can all, go back to somewhat of a normal life again,
Yeah.
And hopefully this virus just goes away.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Somber. That's the hope.
That's about it though. Just, waiting for the weather to get nice so I can do some more intense hiking. We got some really cool trails, nearby where I live. So looking forward to that. That's it.
Oh, yeah. We have the perfect weather usually for those kind of things.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I bought a Peloton, back in December,
right.
and I've been working out on it. I used to do a lot of indoor cycling before. So I was telling Leonie my gym didn't survive the first closures of COVID.
Right.
So, with all the stuff I've seen at work, I just had told him I didn't feel comfortable maybe going to the gym, even if everyone was vaccinated and there was COVID. I just feel like people are gross now,
Yeah.
So I was having a really hard time at the end of the year because COVID was just like giving me anxiety at work. Long story short, I decided to purchase it, and I'm so glad I did. And, it's my first month with it, and I'm really excited for summer so I can show off my sexy legs. Yeah, baby.
Yes.
So
that's what I'm waiting for.
Oh my God.
I'm like, screw ice cream. I want to see those sexy legs.
Yeah. Guys, I haven't seen Leonie in months.
I'm like a fine wine, yo. I get sexier. Don't worry. I look better than ever.
You're funny with the jokes today, huh?
I know. I haven't seen you forever, so I miss you. Yeah. And
hopefully we could hang out when you get your second vaccine.
Yeah, we're hanging out soon.
Yes, so we can get some food or something.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that's been my routine during the week when I'm not busy. I've been busy all along now, like busier. So I'm here again to get you guys another episode of Purposely Curious. So I wanted to do one on the Meghan Markle, Harry. I was going to say Harry Styles. My God.
Wrong Harry, yo.
Yeah, wrong Harry. The interview that everybody's talking about, which was a sit down with Oprah this Sunday here in the US. And so I believe yesterday the UK got it on their TVs. So this is not going to necessarily be about the interview because I think everyone kind of knows what has been said and people are focusing on certain things, a lot of it being the race end of it. To me, what really stood out and, you know, was more of the mental health suicidal ideation that Meghan Markle said that she went through.
Right.
Stood out for me because mental health is such a big, important thing. But not only that, we discussed, well, for anyone out there who knows me, who listens, who knows you guys are my friends, you guys know that as I've been obsessed with the royal family since I was a kid. When I went to England for the first time, I was asked, where do I want to go? And I was like, Buckingham Palace, of course, right?
Nice. Obsessed.
But not only am I obsessed with the royal family, I was obsessed with, you know, I'm a history nerd, you know?
Right.
I've always been obsessed with, you know, I know why the Anglican Church is the Anglican Church, right? Like those kind of details as to why, you know, the king decided he didn't. So I love all the lineage of stories, historical stories, of even Napoleon, who was an emperor for France, right?
Right.
Just that shit fascinates me essentially. And growing up, so I have like this bobblehead. What do you call those pop bobblehead things? That's like my thing. So I have a lot.
Pop Funko ones?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
That's my thing, okay? So
right.
I have a lot throughout. And, you know, I have a queen one that's by my TV and with her little corgis. And people would always say, is that the queen? And I'm like, yes. Like, I loved her outfit. And
Nice.
When I would see the outfit, you know, it's just crazy. And obviously, when The Crown on Netflix came in, of course I was going to binge, you know?
Right.
If the show came out, my boyfriend at the time, you know, because in Netflix, you binge it, right?
Right.
You knew I probably was going to binge it Saturday and Sunday and probably wasn't going to leave the bedroom. You know, like that's just... Right. I was binging with my glasses. Like I was so good. So growing up, we all know Princess Diana. We all know Fergie, right? They had terrible divorces. And this is what I'm trying to tie it into is none of what was said yesterday. You know, obviously there was shocking allegations about someone potentially, you know, saying like, oh, they were worried about the skin tone of Archie when he would be born, right? But for me, what I took away was that they didn't learn from the mental health issues of two other women who were harassed in the 80s, right?
Right.
And they're still making those same mistakes, is what I got out of it. And the second thing, you know, that really pissed me off is that, and again, this is not about whether, and you know, if you're in the UK and you don't agree with me, it's fine. When they said that before Archie was born, they weren't going to give him titles or security, Archie, right?
Right.
But Prince Andrew, who's an alleged fucking pedophile, still has it. Because trust me, I was Googling that shit.
Right.
They had a discussion whether to take security away from him, and the queen opted to leave him. And it's like $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
In security. He's been accused of being a pedophile, and you get what I'm saying in the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Oh yeah, there's
yet
photos,
they don't want to
evidence.
give Harry's son security. Now this is before they decided to leave,
right?
And so those were the two things that really pissed me off. But again, the whole shit was like, you know, it is what it is. They've never liked her over there. Not everyone. A lot. I was reading that there was a poll in England that it seems like on average the younger 30 and younger crowd are siding with Meghan and them, and the older are siding with the royal family. So there's going to be a change, I think, because it seems like the younger generations are like over it.
I don't know. It's the sign of the times. It's you see a generation, what is it, X, Y, Z, whatever it is, that, you know, they're progressive, right? They're more like, hey, you know, inclusive, right? They're like, you know, people, you know, inclusive races, let's get together, harmony. And the older generation's like, oh, no, we're old school. Like, we just want the monarchy, you know, the way it is, who cares, right? So there's two forms of thinking, right? And whatever the division is, whether it's people in the 30s or 40s or older, you know, it's interesting because these are traditions that go through the family lineage, right? Which is hundreds of years, 1,000 years. It's a long time, right?
Very long, yeah.
So these traditions are passed down, you know, their rules are passed down, and their rules suck. And what I mean by that is the personal, not the people that live in England. I mean the personal, you know, rules for royalty, right? They have not changed those. They have not amended those. They're like, you know, so it comes as a shocker where you have a girl from LA, right, who ends up being Duchess, right? She ends up marrying Prince Harry, right? And you know, her whole lifestyle has changed. Like, you know, it's interesting because I remember my friends were watching it, right? And I was catching pieces of the wedding here and there, you know, and you know, I just had a simple question to my friend. I asked her, I said, hey, so why do you feel obsessed with this, you know? Like, and then she said something that I'm sure a lot of maybe females would agree or felt the same way. And she said, it's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale of a girl, you know, from a different place who doesn't fit, doesn't belong, can marry a prince, you know? And I thought, that's interesting. But see, from a guy's point of view, I didn't see it that way. I saw it more like, that fucking girl has no idea what she's about to get into, you know?
Yeah.
And by that, it's like, you know, you're not going to be able to run your, you know, 12 miles a day in public. You're not going to be able to do this or that or go to clubs or hang out with your friends. Like, you're going to do what they tell you to do, you know? And it's like, are you ready for that? As a 30-something-year-old, are you ready for that, you know? And that's the thing.
It's a big change.
It's a big change. I don't, you know, that's one thing that, you know, I think my friends who were watching that were not thinking about. They're thinking about the fairy tale, the fantasy, right? And that's fine. But when you take away everything you love to do, including seeing your family and your friends, and now you have to do things you don't like going to fundraisers and balls and fancy occasions and dresses and gowns and traveling for charity. I mean, some of it you do like because it's, you know, it's humanitarian work and that's what you want to do, but it gets old quick, you know? When you don't get that time to spend with your family and friends, it gets old quick. Like you just become like, you know, distanced, detached, and, you know, wondering like, well, why am I here? Like, I'm not happy, you know? So I don't know if that was the case with Meghan. I mean, do you think, is that what happened?
She said she was suicidal because she was. So this is a thing. And I understand where you're coming from. So she's not the first American in the picture. This happened when King Edward, you know, the 8th abdicated from being king to be with a divorced American woman. Right. You know, so it's not the first. So the royal family has changed. They've tried to modernize, and that's one thing that the Queen has done. You know what I mean? It's an institution that's very rules driven, you know, image driven. Right. That we know. The issue sounds like it's almost like, and when we're talking about the institution, it's just the whole ship that runs it, right? We're not just referring to like the Queen, right? Right. It's almost like they're all seeing what I'm noticing. Now, this is just my opinion, right? We have the same fucking issues over and over with people who are marrying in, right? You have Fergie, Diana. They've all given interviews where they basically say the same shit.
Right.
They were not supported. The sons of Diana are big advocates for mental health, and yet they still didn't support the wife of one of them.
Right.
So that's my pet peeve. What's pissing me off is like, how are you guys not fucking learning? I get it. It's a fucking institution. You guys are being run right to the T. Right. You're expected to do all this, but don't you see a pattern in the wives that are coming in?
Right.
And that's what upsets me is they could have fixed that shit with Fergie. They could have fixed that shit with Diana, but it's almost like they don't give a fuck. Right. And these women have given interviews. If you guys look up the Fergie, Diana interviews, and there's a documentary on Netflix, in her own words, the fucking royal family or the institution, meaning the people, the men that run it, right?
Right.
Are not learning from past mistakes. And so, yes, there's bigger issues in the Meghan Markle interview that were, I'm just focusing on the mental health thing of it. Right. It's almost like they're saying, well, fuck it, you married into it. We don't care what your mental health is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially as every decade that happens, mental health is a norm. It's everyone, every single human being has mental health issues. Right. That is a fucking fact. If you act like you don't or you frown upon mental health, you're fucking crazy.
Right.
Because everyone has it.
Yep.
What mental health is essentially is just you might be feeling down for, a month. That's normal. So how are we going to fix it? You need to speak to someone, but it's so stigmatized.
Right.
And we are now in a generation where the young people are acknowledging it, that it's important, when before It was like, no, how are you fucking sad? What do you mean you're fucking sad? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're not entitled to feel sad.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, fucking feel that shit, but you need that support, right?
Yeah.
So now that all the young people, you know what I mean, are accepting that mental health is super important, because we all go through phases of our lives, right? I don't understand how these institutions still minimize that shit.
Right.
And it makes them look, like, dude, these are women asking for help. And every single one of them, when they've divorced or when they've given their interviews, have said that they lacked that mental health support.
Right.
And what pisses me off is that Diana's sons, both of them, are advocates for mental health. And so the fact that they're failing, even, I can understand why they left, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
I mean, it just goes to show you that even they had no power to help their own wives, And in this case, I'm just going to refer to Meghan and Harry, right? Mm-hmm. He had no power to help her. And that's the part that's really, really sad, because that's a family that can afford to have any doctor in any one of their palaces come over and like designate like a hospital room for her or something, medically treat her maybe if she needs it, or counseling if she needs it, therapy if she needs it. And it's like, why is that a problem? Like, why didn't they, But it just goes to show you that Prince Harry has no power, that his father and, is in, was it Prince Philip or Charles?
No, that's Grandpa. Yeah.
So Charles. Grandpa, I think it's Grandpa, right? Who's sick in the hospital recently.
Yeah.
He's the one apparently that controls everything. So if, he's old and all that, but he's old school thinking too, and they only care about image, right? They don't want scandals. They don't want tabloids. They don't want anything to look bad on anybody who's married into the family, the royalty and all that. That's the part that's sad. Because as you said, in these times, in these days and ages, where everybody's afflicted by that, and even worse right now during COVID, right? Mm-hmm. Even worse. This poor girl doesn't have her family nearby. This poor girl doesn't have her friends nearby. She can't do things that she wants to, right? And then on top of that, they're being difficult on her. And then there's, possible, seedlings and sayings and things about her son's skin color and all that, all that, like, it adds up quick, it adds up real quick, and it takes a toll on her. Mm-hmm. And she's got to turn to somebody to talk to, and they won't give her. And apparently she tried, and they denied her. And that's, I mean,
and that's the issue that I have, is that if you guys go and listen and watch the documentary, which I'm telling everyone to go watch it, because it's in Diana's words by the Discovery Channel. It's been on Netflix for a few years, and I remember watching it for the first time. She's essentially saying the same shit.
Right.
20 something years ago. The same shit. So and Harry says he didn't want what history to repeat itself. That was him talking about his mother.
Right.
And these interviews are out there. If you guys go and watch them, you will hear the exact same words being essentially said, and then Fergie, same thing. They're not supporting the women who are marrying in. It's almost like they don't give a fuck, in my opinion. And I love the fucking queen. I've been obsessed with the history. That's kind of what upsets me, was that they're just not learning. And so to me, I understand if you're going to marry into an institution, like, I would know my life would be completely different. Right. You know what I mean? I would have no control, and I would be on a strict, but that's because I'm a nerd and I've fucking seen all these interviews, documentaries. And, essentially Diana said, I was alone. Even though I was around people, I was alone.
Right.
I was miserable. She tried to kill herself. And she even said, it's like they had never seen someone depressed before. And it's not true. They have. They just fucking put it under the rug.
Right.
But you can't do that in these times.
Yeah.
You can't. Diana had it bad. Fergie had it bad. But they had paparazzi. This is on another level now.
Right.
You got fucking social media. I mean, it's fucking crazy. And again, we're not even touching the racism part, right? This is what really stood out for me, was how did they not learn from the past? And all of it is documented, guys. Look up all of these interviews.
Yeah.
They're essentially repeating the same thing. Meghan essentially is saying the same thing that these women are saying. Women being Diana, who's no longer with us. Right. Fergie has said that. And then what upset me was the conversations, let's say, okay, for the sake of this conversation, right? They didn't want to give Archie, who hadn't been born yet, the title and security. Which
is weird to me, because you would think he'd automatically get that. He's part of the bloodline, right?
You would think. Now, other people who are farther away from the line of the crown, right? Like, so many people would have to die for him to be it. He's closer in lineage in that sense, right?
Right.
They who are farther, cousins, have fucking security. So what's up with that, right? And then I was like, okay, and Prince Andrew is in the Jeffrey Einstein. Oh my God, Einstein. Epstein.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm like really bad with last names today. Harry Styles. He still has, he's been accused. Okay, we're not saying that it was proven. He's been accused. He swears the picture is photoshopped of him with a minor. There's video in court as well, but he swears that it's doctored.
Right.
But essentially, he's accused of being a pedophile, and he still has. It's almost like, okay, so this little boy who wasn't even born wasn't going to get anything, but the pedophile on this end. And again, this is just me as an American seeing it, who does not follow or worship a royal family in the U.S. in that sense. And so those are the two things that really upset me, where I was just like, what is up with this? Like, I really think you guys should look into those interviews, especially the Diana, in her own words, the Discovery documentary. You will be like, oh my God, it's like the same shit. And you would think they would have learned, and say, fucking hire therapists, guys.
Right.
What the fuck,
Right. I just kind of, if you think about it, it's the same people in charge. Same people that were in charge with Diana, same people in charge that, what happened with Meghan and all that. So nothing's changed, No. All they care about is the image and staying out of the tabloids and all that, which is sad, because this poor girl needed help, and it could have been done in such a private way that nobody would even know,
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we all probably think about that, right? When you see the royal family, you're thinking, wow, they must have the best, whatever, fill in the blank, best doctor, best dentist, best everything, right? They probably have that at the palace, right? They don't have to go out in public and deal with security issues and all that. But it just turns out that in this case, that poor girl needed help at the time, and she was denied, and that's just heartbreaking, on a human level, And I don't know, part of me wants to say, hey, if I were in her shoes, I would have just gone right into the hospital myself, and that would have drew a bunch of paparazzi and media and press and all that, right? But that's like the lesson to the royalties to say, hey, you can't mess around. You're not going to help me. I need help, and I need to go get the help, and I sought the help, and I got the help,
Well, that's what Diana did. She she gave audio tapes for a book that was being written while she was still in the royal family,
right.
Did an interview while she was still in the royal family. They didn't learn from that. They're at least giving you this interview after they have left. Right. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then I can go on about that, but I just feel like they have to change something. Like, they did say that the queen was very nice to them. Philip was very nice. So it seems like it's other people. Right. And they kept calling it the institution, the institution. And I think it's literally like, we've talked about Britney Spears. It's like she's under a conservatorship. Think of it that way.
Yeah,
you got all these firms running the boat, running the ship, running the schedule. It's the same thing.
It's all the day-to-day people, the assistants, the lawyers, the business people, the legal, the personal shoppers, that are probably harassing them, or, what I'm saying, or just making the situation hard, difficult, and that, even if your grandma's really cool and super nice, it means nothing because she's not your day-to-day person.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day people suck. They're making your day shit, so it's like, that's the part that sucks. And I totally understand why they left and why they came here, especially California and all that, and that's a big move for him because he just, gave up his life, but he as he was quoted, he was saying he was trapped. And he said, my brother and my dad, they're trapped. It's a system that you're born into, and that's you're expected to live that lifestyle, and you're trapped. You can't do anything. You're expected. If you're a male, you're going to go into the military, which he did. He was in the Iraq War, both his brothers. And
And the thing too, as I understand what he's saying, but I also understand the royal end of it, right? It's their duty. They feel like they were born to do this,
right?
And so I couldn't with, like I said, like I'm born in the U.S. And from me reading historical fiction books, documentaries, and everything, it's like your duty. You were born to do this, and so they're gonna see it through, right? So I kind of understand where the whole, royalty end of it and that aspect comes from. But they're not the first ones to leave,
Right.
Like at the turn of the century, someone fell in love with a divorced American woman and he left, and that's the reason why Queen Elizabeth is there now, because her father had to step up when his brother said, I'm leaving. So it's not the first time they've seen it. I just feel, they really just got to modernize. Like, if you see women after women having all these issues, and the media isn't what it was when, King Henry VIII was around. You know what I mean?
Right.
You send a fucking spy, it's going to take him 10 days to get there in a fucking horse, right? So by the time the gossip gets back, it's 10 days after that.
Right.
They got to get with the times. Like, the paparazzi was bad when Diana was around. They were brutal. A lot of shit was getting leaked because in interviews later, she confirmed that the shit that the paparazzi was saying was true at the time.
Right.
And now we have, instead of paparazzi, social media and these tabloids that are basically online now, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
everything, I don't know. I just feel like they're a little bit too slow. They should be ahead of it. Like, I would be like, okay, after Diana, the situation, her interviews, what she said in her interviews, then you had Fergie saying similar shit. I would be like, let's be proactive. Let's get therapists in here, you know, but it's almost like they frown upon that. And that pisses me off.
Well, maybe because, you know, it's like there's still that stigma about mental health, right? Where
they need to get with the times, because the younger people are not about that.
Well, they don't want to admit that their own bloodline has mental problems, and then let alone be married into one who does, right? With one who does, you know, they don't want that, you know, because that's all the media would talk about, and not favorably either, because you know, there's media that doesn't like the family, you know, and it's weird. Like, to me, that, you know, for whatever reasons, you know, they think that the system, you know, is, you know, a bad one. And it's been so many years of, you know, shaping these men and women into, you know, into them being people that they don't want to be, that they don't have to be. And it's, you know, it's probably, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But then, I mean, I think, well, you know, them two just left, and they left that all behind, and they got cut off, and they got stripped of their, you know, their titles, you know. But I think, interestingly enough,
the media, with that.
Yeah, and they're okay with, they're happy. I mean, I think one of the, you know, they get to walk on the beach, they get to have their own freedoms, you know, and I think I can relate to that. I have no personal experience related to anything like that, but it's like, you know, would you rather live in a, you know, $200 million mansion and have to deal with all that? Or would you rather live in a modest house and have the luxury of going to the beach and go work out and go see friends and travel and eat whatever, you know? It's like, of course you want that, you know? And at first there is a luxury, you know, fantasy. It's like, oh, I want that beautiful palace and this, but it ain't all that, you know, if it cuts you off from life, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, it is what it is. My thing is, I just feel like the institution, I'm not trying to call out anyone, you know, since Diana, they've advocated, and the boys have been on mental health podcasts, you know, trying to get modern, right? And when I say boys, I mean Diana's sons.
Right.
But yet the institution failed one of their wives, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, it really upsets me that they didn't learn anything. And, you know, are they going to get with the times? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think, if they didn't learn from the women of the past in the 80s and 90s, I don't know.
And, you know, this right now, we are living in a very interesting time, because you can draw me a family tree between Charles and, you know, Philip and the sons and the cousins and all that, and you could tell me, oh, he's next in line, oh, she's next in line for the throne and all that, right? That means nothing. Do you know why that means nothing?
Why?
COVID. COVID could kill that whole family, or something like a COVID, like a pandemic, can kill that whole family, and it could leave the most unexpected person next in line to be king or queen. So, you know, they spend so much time, you know, maybe thinking out like, oh, you know, Prince Harry, you know, but he's next in line after, you know, Philip and this, and, you know, after the queen, it becomes a king and this. Means nothing. Means nothing, because this damn virus we just had for the past year showed us that anything could happen. So I think now they're probably reassessing that part. They don't care about the mental health part, which is sad and wrong, but they're reassessing like, holy shit, well, what if we all die and we're left with Sarah and Fergie's daughter and son that we don't like? You know what I'm saying? It could be a really weird like situation.
Yeah. So I know definitely it's going to be one of those topics that people are going to be talking about for a long time, you know, and quite honestly, there are people who are just butthurt that they decided to leave,
right?
But not everyone's cut for it. It's a job in the end. And so we fucking quit our jobs sometimes. And someone said this online, and basically they said, Harry is doing for Meghan what Charles couldn't do for Diana.
Right.
And that to me, I was like, okay, mic drop, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
he's doing something, and the
she
fact
divorced
is,
him, right? She divorced him, and she got away.
I'm sorry?
Diana, she divorced him. She divorced Charles.
She did, but it's not about the quote is more so saying, you know, because he was always in love with another woman, Camila, who she's married to right now. So I guess what he's saying is that, you know, he let Diana down, but the son wasn't going to let that happen to his wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
My thing is, you know, I just really hope that, you know, we all grow with that fairy tale that this is how, you know, the prince, like you said, we're going to marry a prince. It's an institution.
Right.
This institution, the powers that be that are running it really need to get with the program and just fucking understand that, yes, if they are going to be having crazy ass schedules where they're not in control, they need better support. And that's something that we keep hearing over and over from these people, that they're not getting it once they're out of the family. You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway.
So you watched the interview, right?
I did, yes.
How did you, I mean, watching Meghan's thoughts and words and her reaction, I mean, what do you think is like, where did you see where she was 100% right? Or was there a line that you were like, well, she's kind of wrong on this and she's right on this, but do you think she's at fault at all? Or do you think that everything she had to say was justified?
Meghan?
Yes.
I believed her. The only thing I didn't believe was when she said when she didn't realize her life would change when she got married, which was right off the bat.
Yeah.
That I rolled my eyes. I was like, but this is me coming from I'm a geek, I'm a nerd. I've seen all the documentaries on Diana. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, girl. I gave like that, you know, that Justin Timberlake look from that meme,
right?
Or that GIF. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. That's the only thing that I didn't. She also said something that
made me laugh, and she's like, I never Googled him or something like that, right?
Oh God, yeah.
And I'm like,
I didn't believe that either.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I didn't believe that either.
The second some guy tells me, hey, dude, this girl Mary likes you, fucking, I'm looking at everything that Mary might be a part of. I'm looking at a possible Wikipedia, Tinder, Instagram, Facebook, wherever I can find Mary, that's where I'm looking, because I want to know everything I want about her, you know? So, of course, she looked up everything I mean, there's no way she's like, oh, yeah, I just whatever. And I'm like, no, come on, girl.
Yeah. And so, yes, that was the only thing that I was like, yeah, come on, girl.
Yeah.
You don't act dumb. Like,
right.
But I do believe, based on the history seeming to repeat itself a third time with another wife, that I did believe most of what she said. I was surprised with the skin tone end of it. But it, you know, at the same time, they never named who did it. But they specifically did tell Oprah it wasn't the Queen and it wasn't the King, Philip.
Right.
Prince Philip.
Right.
So that leaves Charles and his brother. But
Charles, the father, right? And
yeah.
And his brother. What's his name? William, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or his wife. What's her name?
They didn't say. Yeah, Kate.
Kate, right?
Yeah, they didn't say. So that's kind of like the interesting bit. Obviously that's not really what I talked about, because I know if you guys just turn on the television, you can see them talking about. Yeah. That's all they're talking about. And Oprah was like, what? I've never seen Oprah say like that. I was like, ooh.
It's like people are surprised that they can be racist over there. I'm like, come on.
No, but it was, I think everyone was surprised to hear that, because I think in the end we all think that that's not, I don't know, I'm not going to go into it, but my biggest takeaway were those two things. Was they didn't want to give an unborn child, yes, there was a whole racism thing, they didn't want to give an unborn child, titles, which is fine, or security, but Prince Andrew. If you guys look up Prince Andrew, there's also an interview of him defending himself last year, or was it 2 years ago, on the allegations of him being with a minor, where there are pictures and there is video. And he says that is photoshopped, but it's going to be part of the Epstein saga trial. So FYI, and he won't come to the U.S. anymore.
Right.
But he, you didn't want to give an unborn child security.
Yeah.
But a pedophile is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the mental health aspect of it. So I just wanted to get on here and just kind of vent and be like, how have they not learned? And again, this goes for any institution. We're not just talking about the royal family.
Right.
I give so much respect for anyone who understands when people say mental health, we're not talking diseases. We're looking at a holistic approach to our being, right? Our brain is it's so important in how we think, and sometimes we need a little help.
Right.
And this goes for you, Leonie, for me, right? For all my friends. Sometimes we need a little help because things are bogging us down and we just need to be redirected. So don't look at it when people say mental health. Don't look at it as a disease, because yes, in this umbrella of mental health, we do have diagnosis, right? But we all fall under that umbrella of mental health. Every single fucking human being falls into it. Have you ever been bummed out? Have you ever fucking cried? All of those are part of mental health. Being happy is part of mental health, right? Yeah. We just need to look at it and to see that she was just asking for support. She came from being an independent woman to having everything stripped, which anyone else would figure was going to happen. Right. But you know what? This transition, Meghan, is going to be hard for you. Yeah. We're going to have someone here to talk you through it so that you can vent, because these changes are going to hit you hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the type of shit that they need to get on board. And that's what I'm saying. And so I'm very proud of the younger generation. I'm 37. The fact that we have younger people who are acknowledging that mental health is important, and that every single one of us, every single human being falls within that umbrella.
Yeah.
The stigmatism that is with that word, I don't know. I'm just happy that the younger people are getting it. And so these institutions, and in this case, this institution hasn't learned, and I really hope, I know they're not going to listen to my podcast, but if they did, that's just the one thing that they take away, because there's a lot, obviously. We talked about quite a few things but my biggest thing was, how did they not learn from Princess Diana?
Right.
She was so open in interviews and tapes and books about her mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you have a woman like Meghan Markle who people look up to, right? She said she has suicidal ideation,
Yeah.
She needed help. And this is a woman who has her shit together. Just to show you, because sometimes people think mental health is only for people who don't have their shit together, right?
Right.
So, anyways, I'm going on a tantrum or just going crazy here, but yeah. Anyway,
but I think, look, on no matter what side you want to look at this, or how you want to look at this, I'm glad that they found a safe haven here. It sucks that they stripped them of their titles, but I think the media has been kind to them, and they still call her Duchess, and they call him Prince, right?
The American media.
Yeah. So, and that's nice, because it's like, we all know they're still part of the family. Like, that does not change. It's just, so it's a nice gesture, and they're going to be more than fine. They're not going to have the luxury of the $1 billion empire or whatever they have over there. But I think the media is so fascinated with them that, they've already signed deals with, whatever, Netflix or Spotify or whatever. And it's good, because, they're going to need that, to sustain their lifestyle and live here, because it's like, it's not like she can get a job or he can. It's like, no, they're targets, they're not exactly safe living, in the wild of the cities amongst the common person. It's like, I mean, without security, of course, but of course, they'll start some media business or something, and
they already have.
They'll be advocates for mental health, and they probably will not put a dent in making any kind of change of the royal family.
No,
and it is what it is, right? I mean, we don't agree with it, but it's just tradition, that probably goes hundreds, if not thousands of years of rule and law, and and when I think about it, in reality, it's like somebody like Harry or William, like the perfect mate for them would be like, like Lord Montague's daughter from the, west side of Wales, or you know what I'm saying? Like somebody who comes from some kind of crazy royalty. Like if they were to marry a girl like that, their life might be easier because that girl already knows that lifestyle. She was brought up to live in that posh, system of servants and, and people doing things for you and all that, and not having to go to work or have a career because she has everything, right? So if they were to marry someone like that, well, maybe, but both these guys chose, what does the media call them? Commoners, right? Didn't William choose, what's her name? Kate Middleton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Common girl from, I don't remember where. And Harry chose this girl from LA, and love is love,
Yeah.
Like they didn't see it as, well, grandma doesn't approve, dad doesn't approve, mom doesn't. No, they don't. They were like, look, I'm in love with this woman. And by giving up everything in your life, you're going to join me in holy matrimony, but you're also giving up, all your freedoms. And we're going to do charity work on behalf of the royal family, the royal palace, the name, which is admirable. But, come on, too much is too much,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they would still be there if they would allow her to do things. Kind of like, if you think of what the American president can do, you ever see once in a while that the president, any president, would go on a jog, and Secret Service would go jogging with them,
Mm-hmm.
Or they go on a hike, or they go skiing, and the Secret Service goes hiking and skiing with them, and horseback riding, in rare occasions, right? Like Obama's done that, Clinton used to do that, Like they had their freedoms, and they could have their families over whenever they wanted, or friends,
Mm-hmm.
If they would institute that, I think that they would not have left, and of course, her getting the help that she needed, the mental health that she needed.
Yeah.
They would not have left, because they would have truly had the freedoms they wanted, the lifestyle they wanted, and, the help they needed medically.
Yeah. And I guess that's my riff, is just things could have been different, and they didn't learn. So
could have been different. And the question is, does it now change? Is the queen too old to change all this? Does she even understand? You know what I'm saying?
Well, she understands, I think.
I mean, it's like, does somebody have to explain it to her?
No, she gets it. She gets it. I think they need to, as an institution, and it may not come from Charles when he's king, if he ever becomes king, because boy, does this she keeps going. She's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
I think it will change, but it'll change, I think, after her. I think it will. But yeah, so it should be interesting to see what happens. But I think for me, it was just those 2 points. And yes, everyone's talking about the racism, so I wanted to at least stick to the mental health part of it.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for sitting with me while I bitched about this.
No, it's interesting because, like I said, I know bits and pieces about it. I've heard a lot about it, but of course they're playing the race card in the media right now, which I get, because it's big news in the US, and now it's gonna be big news in the UK. But the bigger story, and like you said, the most important thing is that this girl was seeking mental health and did not get it, was denied. And that's like, whoa, you know, she has suicidal thoughts. And to me, that's the bigger story. That's the story people should be focusing on. That's the story that should put the brakes on everything, on that whole family, and make them all realize that, hey, somebody could have killed themselves. She could have killed herself because of a simple, stupid thing that we didn't allow her to get, which was help.
Yeah.
And by we don't know if that came from the top. Like all these daily assistants I was telling you about, the day-to-day people, they could have been the ones that said, no, sorry, no, sorry, no, sorry. And there's no way to go above them, you know, because that's just the way it works, right? And that's the part that kills me, because this poor girl could have been dead because, you know, she has suicidal thoughts. And that would be the most unfortunate story on so many levels.
Yeah.
You know, Harry losing his mom in a tragic car accident. Now he loses his wife, and, you know, and suicide. And, you know, and it's like, that's just the worst. Like, you don't want that. You don't even want to go there, you know?
Yeah. So but, you know, I have no sympathy. I understand. I have no sympathy for the royals in that sense, because Diana threw herself down the stairs while pregnant.
Yeah.
So they should have fixed that and put something into play then.
Right.
And so that's why I'm like, I'm not going to start this again, because I can go on for another hour. But yes, I hope that they do change. They haven't. They didn't learn from what Diana did, pregnant, throwing herself. They said, oh, she just wants attention. Oh, yeah, okay. So, anyways, I guess I'm done. So, should we do another episode soon?
Absolutely. You let me know when we will do it.
Yes, I will let you know. Thank you, everyone. And I hope that you guys take care of yourselves. If you're having a bad day, think of all the good things, all that you're grateful for, you know. And just know that every day gets better. And
yes,
we're here. Me and Leonie are here for you guys.
Yes.
So, see you guys next time. Bye. That was episode 49 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most podcast platforms. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.